Okay, in this lesson we're going to be talking about campaign basics. And basically what that means is we're going to be talking about what goes into creating a Google AdWords campaign. Now before you create your first campaign, there's four main tent poles. The first is where, then you're going to have to think about your budget, you're going to have to think about writing ads because that's the customer facing component of AdWords, and that's something that you're going to definitely want to take some time to think about because that's what everybody sees when they're doing searches relevant to the keywords, the last portion or the last component of creating your campaign based on the keywords that you've chosen to serve those ads for. So first, where? What sites or what cities, in which locations, and in which languages? So for this example, I'm showing you, this is a screenshot from an AdWords campaign, and we're going to get into all the technical components to creating an AdWords campaign and targeting by location. But in Orlando, where I'm based, you have to take into consideration that there's a lot of people that speak languages other than English. So even though that you might be targeting the 20 miles around Orlando, you have to take into consideration people that are speaking Portuguese because there's a lot of travelers coming from Brazil to the tourism destinations like Disney and Universal Studios and things like that. And then there's also people that are coming and traveling from Asia or from countries like Cuba and Puerto Rico that are speaking Spanish. So if you think that those customers are in your target market, then you're going to want to create ads. And there's ways to go about getting those translations and making sure that the ads are created in the right way. But these are things that you're going to want to think about before creating your campaign. Next is budget. There's two components to your budget. First is the max cost per click, or how much you're willing to spend for one visit to your website from the keywords that you're targeting. So if you know based on your analytics that one keyword is a really high converter and you might only need 10 visitors to convert one sale, then you might spend more for that click than one that might take 20 or 50 clicks to get a conversion. So that's something that you're going to have to decide on and analyze based on your website data. Second is your daily budget. And I know most people in marketing do their budget on a monthly basis. But the way that AdWords works is you have to determine your daily budget. And I'll show you ways to convert that, but that's another thing that you're going to have to think about. Part 3, it's writing your ads. And for each campaign, you can actually have several variations that are targeting the same people and the same keywords. So this is opportunities to test, and this is really an awesome way for you to get messaging testing and A/B test certain types of messaging to see which performs better. Maybe you want to test a free shipping promotion versus just something that's 20% off. That's a great way for you to get real proof of concept for these different campaigns before you even launch them on a full scale. So that's a whole nother way that you can use AdWords, but writing your ads is the third component. And then lastly is the keywords. So the keywords, you want them to be specific to your ads. Like we said, you want everything to be extremely relevant. These keywords on the left, if they're all targeting the same ad, this probably wouldn't be a great example because if I was creating this, I would only want things like faceted rainbow moonstone, faceted moonstone beads. So that is hyper relevance. The ones that have different descriptors in front of them, those aren't going to be as relevant as some of the others, and we're going to talk about that when we get more into keywords. And then you want it to be targeted to the landing page like we talked about in the previous landing page lesson, and you want it to be related to the product or service. Again, if you want to be making sure that you're selling moonstone beads if you're targeting keywords for moonstone beads. And then you want to try all possible combinations. Not everybody searches the same way. And there's other ways to account for this, like keyword match types, and we'll talk about that in the keyword lesson. But you have to take into consideration that people do not use searches the same. I think something along the lines of 60 to 70% of all searches on a daily basis on Google have never been done before. Google's never seen them before. So there's all kinds of different combinations and exponential scale of the combinations that people can search Some are long strings, some are extremely short. The shorter ones are probably going to have more quantity, but again, make sure that you understand that. Now, talking about setting up a campaign and campaign structure. This is something you're going to want to know, and sometimes takes people a little longer to wrap their heads around. So a campaign, or actually let's look at it from the other way. Keywords are inside of an ad group, and ad groups are inside of a campaign. So when you look at creating your campaigns, understand that you can have several ad groups underneath that campaign. So maybe you're having something like a summer sale for a campaign. Maybe that's 20% off summer sale. Underneath that, you'll have an ad group for each of the products that you're targeting in that summer sale. So maybe one is board shorts, another is sandals, and then another is surfboards. In each of those ad groups, you're going to have keywords specific to those pages or to those products that you're targeting in the ad group. So for board shorts, you're going to have discounted board shorts, board shorts for sale, board shorts or blue board shorts if you do have blue board shorts, surfboards for sale, things like that in the surfboard related ad group. So for an example, this would be something for a ground coffee campaign. So there's two different products that would be my ad groups: hazelnut ground coffee, vanilla decaf ground coffee. See how very relevant and very specific they are. You want it to have as much context as possible. And then usually I aim 10 to 15 might be a little bit high. A lot of the campaigns that I'm running now are in the 5 to 10 keyword variation range, and then you can add or decrease as you see fit, but usually in that range for the ad group is where you want to shoot for. Again, not a rule or a law by any stretch of the imagination, but that's usually what I like to follow.